Hello, unstoppable real estate investors. I'm realestate, your host of this Unstoppable Real Estate Investors with the top 5% expert, Zhang. Sorry.
Got it.
Okay. Sorry, and my pup's in the background in choir. And he's a great guy to be listening to, everyone, because he's got tons of experience flipping. So Ray, I just want to thank you for being a guest. This will be our last podcast for the year. We're going to go dark next week between Christmas and New Year's and just be on vacation. But if you're joining us in another group, feel free to join our group, the Unstoppable Real Estate Investor. We go live on these podcasts every Wednesday at noon Eastern. And I think we're filled up through February. And we're always looking for real estate investment, experienced real estate investors who are making it, surviving, thriving. You know, you've made it for this podcast on the top 5%ers. And then on Fridays in our group at noon, also Eastern, are spotlighting members and clients who are in the process of learning the business, getting there, and talking about their stories and the struggle is real kind of thing. So thank you, Ray. We had to change our date because Ray had a family emergency. Everything's fine now. And so that's why we're doing this a little later, like on a Thursday evening, when typically we do this on Friday at noon. So I'm glad we could be flexible and that we were able to meet today. So Ray, welcome, and talk to me about what you were doing before real estate investing, and then let's talk about your whole real estate investing career.
Yeah, so Rihanna, thank you so much again for inviting me, and sorry for the time we've had to change. The effort you have done is remarkable. I see all this Facebook notifications you post it all over the place. Yeah, thank you so much. Right? Yeah. So before I came to the country about 11 years ago, didn't speak too much English.
From where? Where are you from?
From China. And
Chinese,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, if you don't understand me, I'll just maybe speak Chinese to you, right? So
yeah, then I really won't understand.
Yeah. So I came to here about 11 years ago, but instantly I was in a state of homeless, right? Because my mom gave me 3,000 by then. We thought that 3,000 can fund our entire university cost for the 4 years, but apparently that 3,000 didn't last for one semester. So I got to think something to make money. And I tried to be a tour guide and find out that wasn't enough, because even I do full-time tour guide, I can only earn about $1,200 per month. That's about it.
Wow.
Yeah, so that won't cover my cost of living. And I remember I live in the car. I have to eat one time a day to save some money.
Wow, Ray.
Yeah.
Yours is really a rags to riches story.
Right. If you look at me, I'm a little bit fatter now. That's because I have some money now. But by then it was a little bit hard. But I started to flip cars because I really have to live, right?
Car?
Yeah, correct. So like the vehicles, right? So I started to buy and sell cars, and then that business has been very good. And then I had some money. I was like, what do I do with this money? So maybe I just try to do something else. I see all the people, all over the place, they flip houses, right? And one house they flip equals about 20 cars of my profit on the cars. So I was like, why don't I do like houses, right? So I started to do houses in Hawaii, and I used to live there in Hawaii, but that market is very hard to do wholesaling houses. And so that didn't work. I tried to do virtual wholesaling houses, and that's even harder. So that put me in something very awkward situation, because I already paid so much money on this coaches and mentorship. And then I said, I'm going to try one more thing, and this apartment, right? So I tried apartment, that didn't work either. So I was on the edge of giving up because it's been 6 years I've been trying, doesn't really have remarkable results. But eventually I stumbled onto land. That's what I'm doing right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a story. And we're just getting started. And I wanted to welcome Roy Koppelman, Dwayne Kidman, Mara Santos, Mohan Karki. Thanks for joining us. And if you have any questions for Ray or you're curious, please feel free to drop them in the comments. If you're watching live or if you're watching a replay and you have questions, please pop them in the comments or let us just know in 1 or 2 words what you got from today's podcast, just a takeaway for you. So Ray, you went from flipping cars to breaking into real estate, living in Hawaii, which even back then was a higher cost of living.
Yeah.
And so tell us more about how you progressed in your real estate career. What did you focus on? And then we'll break that down and talk about challenges and where you're at today.
So I was focusing on the houses and for doing wholesaling houses. And in Hawaii, it's kind of like you do 1 or 2 deals a year, and then not too much, right, for the wholesaling. I guess that's really bad for our beginners because when we first began real estate, we really want to get some momentum. We want to have some confidence. This system really works, right? But if you keep mailing and don't have any results, so sometimes you get really discouraged. And when you get discouraged, you try to find something else. So that's have been my journey for at least 6 years. And
all right, so let me break that down. Like you did a couple of wholesales. How were you, so what were you doing then? Focusing on rehabbing, and how were you going about finding houses? Talk about the process a little bit.
I just target people who own houses more than 10 years and send them a postcard. I try to ask if you have this house for sale, just let me know, right? And of all the years I've been trying, I think I flipped 1 house, so not too much. Yeah, so houses, I know then houses probably wasn't for me. And
So
then, yeah.
You went from wholesaling wasn't working, flipping a house wasn't working. So then what?
And then when I moved to apartments, apartment investing. And that's an even bigger and more complicated game, right? And I try to find apartments more than 20 units and in the mainland, but I was living in Hawaii. So every time I try to build a relationship with the broker, they thought I'm a scammer, right? So because in apartment investing, broker take a very big important role in the whole process. So I got to build a relationship with the broker, but it was pretty hard at the beginning. So that didn't work out very well either.
Yeah, you keep talking about what didn't work. What we want to talk about is what did work. When did you start to shift gears and succeed? What did you change that started to work?
Yeah, so when I changed to land, that's everything is totally different. And about 4 years ago, I started to do land deals. And when I was still in Hawaii, and I did 200 parcel buying and selling within the first year. So the first year I did 200 land deals. So that's something different than what I had experienced before. And
is that what you're still doing, is land deals?
Correct. And this year, our land profit just on the buying and flipping side is about 900,000 net profit for owning flip land.
All right, so talk a little bit about that, because I think that's an area a lot of real investors don't realize. Like, how do you flip land? Like, how do you go about that? So break down your process. So first, you started to try and wholesale. You didn't. You realized you couldn't do that and make a living at it. You flipped 1 house. You're 6 years into your real estate investment career, barely getting by. Then you find land 6 years ago that starts to work for you. What happened to college through this whole process?
I was actually kicked out by the college because I tried to do business myself. I was considered an international student. They have
Um,
they have a rule that they have the international student can only work inside the school, so not outside. But they immediately the principal find out and called me to the office and kicked me out.
wow, boy, you really had it hard at the beginning. A lot of challenges. How did you get over all that?
I mean, that was the worst case, right? I mean, I was already at the worst one, so there's nothing to go down, so everything has to go up, right? So I just hang in there, and hopefully something will shift.
How did you survive with all those ups and down, all those downs, really? Like, that's really like going 6 years of trying to figure it out. Like, how did you survive through all that?
I always think I always have a vision. For I remember there's an experiment that they did an experiment with a mouse, and that mouse, the mouse with a vision survived longer than the mouse without a vision. So I was like, I could be the mouse. I had a vision, so I want to survive longer. But if you hang in there long enough, I guess the mercy will come, and you eventually have some good luck, right? So that's what happened to me, and I stumbled into land, and everything is changing completely.
Okay, so
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that process. Like, what kind of land do you look for, and how do you flip land? How do you buy land, add value to it in order to turn around and flip it? Talk a little bit about that process.
Right. So right now I only buy infill lots, meaning land nearby the major growing cities. For example, if you are in Dallas or Austin, I don't typically flip inside Dallas or Austin because those are very big city, and a lot of people know that's a hot market. So I don't even go there. So what I do is I go to 30 to 90 minutes from the major growing city. And those areas that people didn't really notice, but there are a lot of builders starting to buy already. So those ones are very close to the city. If the city gets so expensive, the resident there, they tend to move outside, right? So if they move outside, the builder will have to build more, and they will buy my land.
So are you buying and holding on to land for a little while to predict growth and trends, selling your land mostly to developers?
Yeah, but I don't predict. I'm not that smart, right? And all the people who say they can predict, and they're probably wrong, right? They just predict 1,000 things, and maybe one of them hit it. So they think, oh, see, I was predicting the right way, but actually they were wrong for 900 something times. But I'm not smart enough to predict, but I'm smart enough to look at the history. So what is history? History is what already happened. So for land is how much or how many land already sold in the areas that I want to go into, and how much they want to sell. They sold
So
it
you're looking
for.
at the comps, the land
Correct.
comps. Yeah.
Right. And when I make offers, I make 40 to 50 cents on the dollar. And whoever wants to sell, they call me back. When I have a deal, I already know how much I'm going to make because there is comps there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so how do you flip land? How do you add value to a piece of land to then turn around? And what's your time frame?
I don't add value, but I buy it at a very cheap value. So when I bought it, it was like 30 or 40 cents on the dollar. And when I sell it, I just put it back on the market. I sell it by the realtor. So I don't really clean it.
So you
I don't
sell
really
it at market value.
a little bit below market value because I want to be the first one to get sold in the entire area. I don't want to compete with anyone else, right? So yeah, that's the whole process.
What else? What else do you want people to know about buying land?
I want to let people know that land is a very overlooked niche because no one really knows how much the land is worth, even the landowners. If even they know the land value, sometimes they do not have emotion attached to the land. Because think about it, if you have a house and if you leave that house, you're probably not going to sell it for 40% of the land of the house value, because there's so many memories inside. You raise a daughter, you raise your son there. But for land, who did you raise there, right? Nobody. So you raise a lot of dirt over the years, and you raise a lot of weeds or grass, right? That's all you raised on the land. And so people sometimes they hate their land because the land costs them money. You know, you have to clean it up. You have to hire people mow the lawn. If you don't do that, city will give you a lien or a fine you have to pay. So they don't like it. So they have a very negative emotion to their land. So that's why we can get some land even for free this year. I got 2 land for free this year. I got some land worth tens of thousands of dollars. I got it for a couple hundred. So sometimes it's hard to believe, but it does happen because people don't like it.
Now, is your only investment strategy to buy and flip land, or are you doing any buy and holds? Are you developing land? Are you developing a passive income portfolio? What else are you doing as an investor?
Yeah, a lot of people do land terms. I don't really believe that model because think about it. If you want to really get a nice cash flow, just go to apartment investing. And there's people have to live inside, and there's a very nice cash flow. But for land, you can definitely sell it on terms, but the default rate is very big. You know,
Is it
yeah,
for people that buy land on terms, they'll default
correct.
on?
Correct.
What about if you were to try that with, say, an investor or developer who's buying the land to develop on it? Do you think the likelihood of them defaulting would go down?
For those people, they typically just buy it outright with cash. So that's the ideal clients or the cash buyer we want. And,
so you don't have to worry about terms, right?
Yeah, no need. I never do terms still on land, and I don't suggest that. And I think flip land for cash is the best there is. So
now, what else are you doing? Is that it, or are you building a rental portfolio? Are you trying any of the other exit strategies, or is it simply flipping land for you?
Besides that, flipping land, I also have a coaching business right now for teaching people how to flip land. And so that's my 2 primary income, right? So that's how.
You froze up there, Ray. Hopefully he'll come back. You froze up, Ray. Ray, you're frozen. Hopefully he will come back here in a minute. What an amazing story of resiliency and perseverance. And you really have to be resilient in this business. And Ray, if you can hear me, I'm talking because you're frozen and we can't hear you. Okay, there he goes. He's going to come back in. But what I love about doing these interviews is the resiliency and perseverance. Here he comes. Ray, you're back. Okay. I was just saying what I love about your story is the resiliency and the perseverance of you just saw something as a real estate investor and you tried wholesaling, you tried rehabbing and it wasn't working, and you tried apartments and single family, and then you found your thing, you found your niche, you found land, and you're sharing how it's this untapped niche that so many people don't see, and it's a cash business. So you're selling cash, you're not selling with terms. So you have a coaching business about that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so there are 6 steps of buying and selling a land. So the first step will be market selection. Second will be how to make offers the right way. I did a podcast with Joe McCall and on that. And the third is how to evaluate your land when the seller start to cost. We want to value the land within 5 minutes, right? So, and the first step is negotiation, and after that, we will try to find a right realtors to close the deal for us, and also validate the deal before we actually buy the land. So the last one is how do we get the land sold. So that's a whole 6-step. I do partially training if you are an experienced land investor. I also do the whole training. If you never have done a land deal, that's fine.
So you hold their hands through the process step by step. There's trainings and coaching that goes with that to show people how to do it.
Absolutely. So my style is very easy and simple. I don't like complication. Maybe I'm a foreigner. I try to I don't use big terms, right? So there's different terms I don't use. And I try to make it easier so people can understand instead of make it more complicated so people can get confused.
Ray, you are so inspiring to me because
Okay.
where some people would see a limitation, you saw an opportunity. Like you created this coaching program on a niche that's very underserved, and you turned your being an immigrant and English not your first language into an opportunity and an advantage to make a program very simple for anyone to understand.
Yeah.
And I just think that's beautiful. And, I just want to point this out to people, whether it's real estate investing or anything else. There are people like Ray that overcome obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. He came to this country not speaking English with $3,000 in his pocket, thinking it was going to pay for his schooling for the whole time he was in college. He barely made it through the first semester, and then he started flipping cars. He's a survivor. He was figuring it out, and then he wanted to go bigger, and it took him 6 years before in real estate, not giving up before he found this niche on land. And now he wants to show other people how to do it. And because of his language challenges, he's made this program super simple. I mean, turning obstacle into opportunity, obstacle into opportunity, obstacle into opportunity. You have so much credibility because of your story, and it's so inspiring to me.
Thank you, Rena. And
you're welcome.
Some people tell me, "Hey, have you ever wondered if people think you have an accent problem?" I said, I do. I mean, I do have an accent problem.
No, it's not an accent problem. It's an accent opportunity.
Right. Yeah. So I said, I noticed there's an accent problem, but I never worry about it because very few people.
You know what, though? A lot of Americans, well, at least half of them, like accents. I am one of them. I love trying to guess where people are from. I love accents. You know why I like accents? And this has been proven in neurolinguistic programming. Accents actually have you listen more closely.
Wow.
You are more present and you concentrate on understanding the speaker more. Also, in NLP or hypnotherapy, when you want to get people more into a trance state, it's been proven that someone with an accent and some music, the right kind of music in the background, people will go into a trance state easier. The reason for that is the opposite of when you're really listening and concentrating is you can tune out and just let that voice relax you and settle you down. It's actually been proven.
Thank you. I think I'll stop learning about English, so I will add more accent. add more thick accents.
Well, depends. You don't necessarily always want people to go into a trance when you want them to pay attention. But I love your perseverance and your tenacity and your determination. So are you doing anything? Are you acquiring any passive income? Are you buying rentals? What are you doing besides land? And what's next for you as a real estate?
Yeah, right now I'm still waiting for a little bit more opportunity. Right now I'm really interested in the apartments still over the years. And
you
right
want to
now,
go back to that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So I want to, make money is one thing and keep your money is another thing, right? So you don't want to make a whole bunch of money and spend on something else. So we want to buy apartments, but maybe next year. So
Okay. And then what would you say? They're pretty obvious, but I want to hear you say, what would you say has been your biggest challenge as a real estate investor to overcome?
I think it's very common for all of us as an entrepreneur. Sometimes there's always some new ideas popping up, right? Even some new idea you think by yourself or some other people tell you, right? So if you do land, there are a whole bunch of different things you can do. You can buy and sell land like what I do. You can buy and sell on terms. You can buy a big land and subdivide them and sell on parts. So there are a lot of shiny objects, right? So that's how my 6 years was wasted, because I always see another opportunity so shinier, and that shiny object always looks better, make more money in shorter time. So it just
Yeah, and then it detours you on mastering the path you're on. There are no quick fixes or get rich quick schemes, especially in real estate investing. If someone's selling you that, run the other way. It
Right.
is like any other profession. You need to master your craft. You need to learn. You need to practice skills. You need to implement as you go. So that leads me to asking you this, Ray. What if you were standing on a rooftop and you had a captive audience and you could influence them in any way? What would your advice be to them if they were really going to listen to you and heed your warning and implement what you're saying? What would your advice be to, say, a new investor or people considering investing in land?
I would say, first of all, focus all your energy on this one thing. And secondly, take massive on perfection actions. So
Take
progress
massive action that's imperfect. Is that what you're saying?
imperfect,
Don't be
correct. That's the
perfect.
word. Yes.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
All right. So a lot of people think too much. I mean, me included. We always want to know perfectly what's going on in the whole process, and then I can maybe take a small action. But that's not the right way to do it.
I have a question for you, and I wanted to also say a hello to Joey Bickham, Shelley Heller, Mara Santos, Rose Lopez. They've joined us. And Mara Santos has a question for you, Ray. Are these land deals ready to build? Do you have a survey, or are they just raw land and you're going to have to develop it?
So there typically is infill lots and there's houses nearby. And I typically, you can add a survey as like an value add, but I don't really do the survey thing if I have to, if I don't have to. So I just buy the land and then I put it back on the market, and the seller, the buyer will contact me or the realtor, and they will tell me what they need. Typically they need a survey, and then I tell them, you can do it yourself. I don't want to pay for that. So, sometimes scare them off, right? But
so Mara, what he's saying is he keeps his models super simple. But
Correct.
If you were thinking about land, Mara, he's keeping it very simple because of the challenges he's had, and he was motivated to survive and make money, and he had to, keep it simple with the language challenges. So Mara, you can add value to the land. He doesn't. He's just wholesaling it. He's just turning around and flipping it. But there are ways that, there are people like me who are looking for land to develop it.
Correct,
And
correct.
so I think it matters, Mara, what you are wanting to buy the land for. What Ray's talking about is a strategy of purely a cash flow strategy of, basically wholesaling land. He's calling it flipping land, but basically buying land at 30 to 40 cents on the dollar, turning it around and selling it with a realtor, not even trying to find his own buyers, going through a realtor. And if he can sell it for 10, 20, 30 cents below market value, he's still got a profit margin in there. It's not huge. He's not being greedy. It's more volume for him and turning things over quickly. It's not the only way to do land. You know, there are other things like I'm looking for land to buy and to build on it. So there are a lot of strategies with land, Mara. Mara, if you're still with us, did that help? Oh yeah, she said thank you. Okay.
Yeah, and another thing is by simply doing that in one market, you can have the ability to duplicate the process in other markets. So think about McDonald's. If McDonald's have 100 different burgers, it's probably very hard to open another one in another city. But McDonald's only have that one menu, and so that if you open another McDonald's, just that thing, very small.
They have a formula, and McDonald's is a great example of that. You know, I watched the documentary on Ray Kroc and how,
Right.
you know, he really took it and made it what it is today. And it is really about, and there's a great book I want to recommend to anybody, and that's The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. And it talks about how to approach a business as an entrepreneur. And E-Myth means the entrepreneur myth, that you've got to do it all yourself. That is not how you're going to build wealth. And especially as a real estate investor, you know, as a business strategy coach, I coach investors that are ready to scale, who are wanting to go from a solopreneur slave of doing it all themselves. It is impossible to succeed in this business doing it all by yourself. Like Ray, even with your simple model, you still have to work with realtors, buyers, sellers. You know, there are always people involved in this business. But the more you build a team and use technology and a team and their time and talent, the more you can scale. And so it's looking at, there's so many options in real estate. What are you comfortable with? Ray found his little niche. I found mine. I want to build micro communities that are sustainable and affordable, because I feel that is where the trend is going, is more affordable housing for the working class, you know, and like tiny house villages and that. So Ray and I would be a good fit, because it's like, all right, Ray, I want you to find me land, you know,
Definitely.
what we're looking for. So we're going to be talking. So, you know, it's getting clear what you want to do. I'm very clear. There's certain things in real estate investing I just don't want to do them. I just don't. They don't appeal to me. And that's why it's so great. You know, when people say that the only way to make money in real estate is wholesaling, you know, rehabbing and buy and hold, that's a very generalization. Yes, all strategies fall into those three big categories somewhat, but there are a lot of creative ways in each of those, like arbitraging Airbnb. You don't even have to own property, you know. So, you know, the reason I bring Ray on and other guests like him who have really overcome a lot of obstacles and challenges and found a way to survive, like you're supporting yourself buying land now. You know, he went from rags to riches, literally, is not only to inspire you, but to show you all the different ways people have found to make money in real estate and all the different kinds of people. Here's a gentleman that came to the United States 12 years ago and didn't even speak English, with $3,000 in his pocket to put him through school for 4 years, and it lasted for a semester. He had to learn by, you know, being in the fires of survival, living in his car. So if that doesn't inspire you and show you that if you have the right motivation and you are motivated enough, you will find a way. Right, Ray?
Absolutely.
What would you want to add to that?
Absolutely. So I remember the day that I didn't have money to do the marketing. So what I did is I drive around for mattress, right? I see people who throw their mattress on the street. I'll pick it up and put it on my car. I sell that for $50. And then I'll go on Craigslist and find a free section. For Craigslist, there's a free section. And people giving away microwave and just all different kinds of stuff. So I post it on Facebook Marketplace. And then I sell them for like $40. And some of them I just put it for eating.
There's a survivor for you. And if you can get your pride and ego out of the way, and it's amazing though that he was operating out of survival instinct, finding a way. So Ray, is there anything else? Did you want to talk, just real briefly a little bit about your program, how long it is, what's covered, who's the ideal candidate for your program?
Yeah, so whoever is committed to land investing can contact me. And I'm in Instagram all the time. My Instagram tag there is virtual flip land. Just like right here, the name, right? Virtual VIRTUAL.
Virtual flip land on Instagram. Also, you can comment and tag Ray Zhang or tag, virtual flip land, tag it him by name, ZHANG, right?
Yeah.
So Ray, RAY, Zhang, ZHANG, you could tag virtual flip land or Ray Zhang in the comments below, and that'll alert him and he can go to those comments and you can connect with Ray if this is something that appeals to you. I'm curious, Mara, what are you interested in with regarding land? If you're still with us, Mara, could you make a comment like what is it that you're curious about regarding land? And we'll just wait a minute for that. So Ray, I really want to thank you for being so candid about your story and just very impressed by you, by your survival instinct, your tenacity, your perseverance, your resilience. And if we don't hear from Mara right away, maybe she'll, you can reach out to her in the comments and just say, hey, what are you interested in land? Curious, Ray, what areas of the country are you investing in land? Are you just investing in Texas? Are you still living in Hawaii? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I moved to Florida about a year ago. So I do many states right now in 45 counties, somewhere around there. So 45 different counties in about 9 different states. I'm in Colorado, Arizona, South and North Carolina, Florida, Texas.
Okay, I'm in North Carolina, so we got to talk. Mara did respond. She has clients interested in land. She wants to learn more how to buy them.
Yeah,
so
that's easy.
When we hang up, Ray, are you in my group? Have you joined my group yet?
I will. Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's write this down. What I'll do is, Ray, what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to put it in the Zoom link so that you can just find it super easy. I want you to join the group so you'll see everybody commenting, but I want you and Mara Santos to connect. Mara, where are your clients located? Let us know. And because Ray's connected, he's looking for land in a lot of places. Go ahead and request to join, Ray. And
all right, I'll do that.
Yeah, and then Ray, let's reach out. I want to just talk to you about what I'm looking for, for the land that I'm looking for in North Carolina. I'm kind of looking in the Asheville area, and Mara's in Georgia. Do you think?
Okay.
In Georgia.
Yeah, you can do this in anywhere you want. So not only in Georgia, anywhere.
All right. So it may be that you just find land for her clients. It may be she's got buyers for you, or she enters into your course. So there's an opportunity there. All right. Definitely. So thanks, Ray, so much for, in the spite of a family emergency, finding time for us to fit this in. It's been a pleasure getting to know you a little bit. We'll be talking a little bit for you to help me find land. And I want to wish everybody Merry Christmas. I can't believe it's only 3 days away. Whoa, this year went fast. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We're not going to have any more podcasts this year. We'll start the first week in January again. And we've got January full already of a lot of really great speakers. So happy holidays, everybody. I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Same to you, Ray. All
Thank you,
right.
Rihanna.
Thanks for joining us. Thank you,
Thank you.
Ray.
Thank you, Rihanna.